Yeah, we're at the last point of our Heureka program here at the main stage for today, and I can definitely say last but not least, because the two guys who are joining me on the stage right now are really, they don't have to be introduced, but because Christophe and Lukasz really shaped the ecosystem during the last years and are involved in most of the projects which are relevant for the Berlin Hub right now. And the thing where we were searching for the last point of the Heureka program was like, we thought, what happens if one of these two players puts the other one on the hot seat? So yeah, let's see what happens, because I don't have a clue what the questions will be. But I'm really excited, and I think they both really deserve a warm welcome. And I'm looking forward to the last session of the Heureka program. Please give a warm applause for Lukasz Gadowski and Christophe Maire.
Welcome, Lukasz, have a seat. I mean, this is basically a friendly crowd. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you own this conference, don't you? We're all your guests here.
Not really, no. It's a vertical media conference, and I'm also one of the shareholders at Vertical Media via Team Europe, so yes, a bit.
So my understanding, you're part of a VC, you are the founder and the leader of Team Europe, you own a recruiting house, you own most of the blogs written in this town. Most of the blogs written in these towns. You know, this sounds like you have your fingers everywhere. You know, could you call you the godfather of Berlin?
What should so we at Team Europe, we have a mission, and the mission is like to make the world a more entrepreneurial place. And all those endeavors that you mentioned are somehow connected to it. So we either try to be a role model in building fast-growing internet companies, or create or support companies that somehow connect to the ecosystem. So those are those that you just mentioned. Yeah?
So, but honest to God, how many people are actually working for you of all the companies you're involved in?
So this is a bit hard. This is a bit hard to tell. So a lot of the companies that we've involved in are minority investments. Yes. So we either started originally as a minority shareholder or became a minority shareholder while diluting to for investors. That means that we don't consolidate all of those companies. Yes. So that also means that we don't have an overview what our employees are, or when you like how you define it. Yeah. So for example, when I'm a shareholder in one of your startups, hidden under trust. So I wouldn't count those people. But the companies that we launched together with Team Europe, or a bit prior to Team Europe in the last years, I think we created a few thousand, something like around 3,000 jobs, and most of them will be in Berlin.
So basically, you lost overview of how many people work for you, but it sounds to me like you're really the big dog in this town. Yeah, and when I look at
but they don't. It's not how many work for me. Again, it's like those are like partnerships. So like most of the companies have CEOs. We are minority shareholders. So the question should be how many employees are supported somehow by me or like one of our portfolio companies.
So I think we know each other maybe 10, 12 years. And
8.
When I look back, you know, I'm really thinking, you know, look what you achieved, and I'm thinking everything is possible. As if I remember well, when we met, you were selling printed T-shirts.
Yeah.
So it's really a long way to what you have achieved today. Is it true that you actually financed StudiVZ with a Kontokorrent credit?
Yes, so that's the amazing thing. So we even made like a bank, yeah, because everybody like is bitching about the bank system, like Kassler Sparkasse, Deutsche Bank, whatever. They don't give money to startups, but in fact it's true. The first money for StudiVZ was for my Kassler Sparkasse Kontokorrent credit, and also Kassler Sparkasse, which I'm very grateful to, was the first bank to give me an account for Spreadshirt. Yeah, so bank is a very important role in my startup career.
So clearly entrepreneurial, and a good sense for risk. Do you know how much money you've raised in the past 2 years?
Too little. So like relative to what I would have needed to raise, like 70% maybe. No, but
the aggregate sums that you've managed to raise?
Yeah, the aggregate, it's a bit hard to tell, yeah, because if, for example, when we raise money into a fund like 0.9 Capital, yeah, is this part of the money that we raise? Or if even more like if 0.9 Capital raises funds into their portfolio, yeah, is this the money? So if you, but if you take like the direct Team Europe companies, so it's like I would say like like around 50 million a year. Yeah, last year was even a bit more, but this was driven obviously by by one company consuming a lot of cash, which is Delivery Hero. Yeah, but like the numbers ballpark like 50 million per year that go into the portfolio right now.
So if my sources are correct, you know, there is another successful entrepreneur in this town that in the past 2 years has raised in excess of 1.5 billion. Could it be that you know, not aggressive enough, or what's wrong with that picture?
So let's say like that. Yeah, this other big entrepreneur, he started 5 years earlier. So let's see like how much we will raise in 5 years. Yeah, and this entrepreneur who you refer to, obviously Oliver Samba. So where rocket and rocket finance companies apparently raised in the billions. It's quite interesting. Yeah? Also like how it's distributed. That like I mean I missed the VC panel before. I just seen the end of it. But like most of the money they raise is not from VCs actually. Yeah, I think 80%, something like 70-80% was from one single source. So that's
okay, it's fair to say that you're not at the end of your journey. So you know, Delivery Hero, some other companies I know are companies that have been inspired by other companies which were successful in the rest of Europe or in the US. You know.
So this is a nice way of talking about copycats, yeah.
well, do you think this is like the path forward, or do you believe that, you know, there will become a point where another strategy would be in order?
So like with every company and like everybody who's running a business know that you need to be very versatile, yeah? So you shift directions all the way and you adjust your strategy. And I think like the business model of how to call it, copycats, inspired by others, or like some people like to call them execution businesses, yeah? I think it's a viable segment of the market that makes total sense, and it will stay there. It will stay there for a while, yeah? And I think specifically in Germany, like a lot of stuff is going on there right now, but there's a whole world to discover, and it happens that the US companies and the US entrepreneurs who are leading most of the fields are not the fastest in doing it. So I think this segment will stay, yeah? And it has a lot of advantages. Yeah? Basically, you have very little business model risk. You can focus on other risks, but it also has a disadvantage. And the disadvantage is like in this, it's very tough to build something like global leader or something in such an operating mode. So what we at Team Europe try to do, we kind of do both. Yes, opportunistically, we do companies that are like kind of boring copycats and not very cool or hyped or whatever, but hopefully successful and good business models. But we also like either start innovative stuff ourselves or support entrepreneurs who do innovative stuff.
So are you not afraid that with size and with success to become too risk averse? What I'm referring to is, you know, when I met you, I think that your motto and your blog and your email was Lac Attack. And Lac Attack stands for moving forward and no fear. And last time we spoke, you were talking about no fuck-ups, which is, you know, to me is a contrary of Lac Attack. You know, if you avoid failure somehow, doesn't that mean that you're not thinking big enough?
I talked to a VC once, and he said like if too few companies in our portfolio fail, that means we don't take enough risk. This is probably what you refer to. And there's a notion, like, people think that entrepreneurs, as an entrepreneur, you like risk and whatever. I mean, I personally hate risk, yeah, and also Lakatak hates risk. So you kind of try to have the best in both worlds, yeah? To have as little risk as possible and as low a failure rate as possible. But in the end, failure is inevitable, and yeah, I had like quite a few failures in my career already. All of them are always hard and tough. Yeah? But it happens, and I think it makes sense. Like, so I would say our goal is like 100%. Everything that we do should be successful. And in the end, if we end up with 80 or 90%, then I think it's kind of fine. Then also the question is like, what you define as like a failure. Yeah, some companies might be very good companies, but like the ambitions might have been larger. Yeah.
So we really learn to know each other through a joint failure, where we both lost quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
In my experience,
you mean the car community? Or?
In my experience, this is
horrible.
Where everything was wrong from day one, basically. In my experience, this is one of the best way to know each other. What's your biggest miss personally?
My biggest what?
Miss.
What I missed. I mean, first maybe to the story that you referred to. So like after exiting StudiVZ, we built a car community. Yeah, back then like everybody like was doing like a lot of communities, and I remember like business plan pouring in for like, for example, like the one that was like remarkable was for a community of smokers. Yeah. Since smokers are outlawed everywhere, like we've got a business plan, hey, a social network for smokers, where smokers can like kind of gather together. And then I think I've been involved in Erdbeer Lounge, like community for women. We built a community for cars, invested in a community for sports people, like with Netzathleten, like all of that. And the one that we've built together was like for cars, yeah, and it failed miserably. And but this is how we got to know each other. And I think like although it was very tough, we always sometimes managed to have fun. Yeah. And also a few people have been very angry that it was a failure because they thought we were a guarantee, and they called us like fraud. Yeah. I mean, we invested our own money, lost much more than our investors, but still they called us, hey, you deprived us. So and this is pretty tough. It's also tough like to learn about people, because of some of them have been the icons of the first internet wave, kind of, yeah, and then something fails and they will call you a fraudster. So after such an experience, you get like.
So, but what's the company you could have done, you wish you had done, and you didn't do?
One example is Groupon. Yeah, so when the Groupon wave kind of came along, we just decided with Team Europe to focus and just launch Advertise and Sponsor Pay, and said like, okay, we don't have bandwidth right now. Yeah. I mean, first we did some market tests, and some initial replies of the merchants that we talked to have been negative. They say like, no, it will not work because the customers will not come back. Yeah, to some point they've been proven right. Yeah, because of Groupon is not worth 10 billion anymore. It's only 2 billion after whatever, like 3 or 4 years. But this one we missed. Yeah. Due to focus. Another one was ResearchGate, for example, when I wanted to invest, or Zendesk. But those have been opportunities that I could have done, but... SoundCloud was, oh yeah, that was noise. So there have been a lot of Christophe Maire companies, like at some point, and one of them was SoundCloud, and this happened to be the one that kind of went under in the noise of...
So what's the most hyped...
And then I didn't even look at it. Yeah, this is obviously very...
What is the sexiest company you see in this town?
Did I see?
Sexiest.
The sexiest company that I see. I'm very biased. I'm biased towards my portfolio, so.
Give us some.
What do I like? I mean, like a bit out in the portfolio. I really like what Jan is doing at Hitfox. Yeah, I think it's a great example of a non-copycat entrepreneur where we're very lucky to be able to support Hitfox, where you have just the combination of great team, large market, and they will figure it out. Yeah, and it's also fun. The first thing they started with didn't work. But today nobody talks about it anymore, yeah, because of the other stuff they started is so successful. Just betting on the combination of large market, great team, and they will always figure it out. So this is one that I like. I just mentioned ResearchGate. This I like also a lot because of I also like science, and I think it's a very good example. People are like always a bit skeptical about Berlin. It's a good example of a very nice company that usually would expect to be in the US. Based in the US and is in Berlin. So this would be another one.
What do you see as a trend? Like, you know, sometimes at the moment everybody's saying, well, hardware startups are coming back, or B2B is coming up, or, you know, investors are keen to make investments at the moment in a certain area. Do you see that too?
Yeah, so upcoming trends, yeah. I mean, those are like like all these buzzwords like social, mobile, blah blah blah. They're a bit boring, yeah. But like I personally, I still like mobile. I think like the mobile trend is just about to come. When you look at the traffic of your companies, a lot of it would be mobile. Yeah. Then this whole like Internet of Things environment. Yeah. I think this will be a lot of stuff is going to happen there. I don't know, like stuff like 3D printing. We like personally. We also look a bit at hardware. I think another trend is globalization from our perspective. Yeah, this is also again what our friends at Rocket are leading, kind of like to go very international in a very small lot of countries. That's it. Yeah, I think like. What's also interesting, it starts to get interesting when stuff gets de-hyped. Yeah? So for example, I think the trend of e-commerce is over. A lot of people now say like, e-commerce, I don't like it. So this is interesting to be a bit anti-cyclical there, yeah? Because of just there's less noise. The people who then do e-commerce are really more exciting about it. So like, I think those trends that died, yeah? Just when they die, it's probably interesting to look at it. And also when you compare early adapters to what's happening in the real world. Yeah? So this is again the example of mobile. Yeah? So the early adapters have been very excited like 3 or 4 years ago. Then it seems something like very old, but now it's really happening because of now it's moving into the masses.
So you speak of trends. I mean, one of the biggest trends in this town are incubators. It seems, you know, every second week there's a new incubator coming in. So do you think this whole company building business model is over?
No, I think it's still a great business model. Yeah, you could like dissect what its value creation. So I think it's a great business model. But what is necessary to execute on such a model? Either you need a lot of cash, yeah, or you need a lot of experience, and ideally you've done it before yourself successfully. So. I think those incubators or company builders that have been built by people who didn't do it themselves previously, I think there will be a very, very high failure rate with them, and this will be a trend that's going to be over soon because it also doesn't make so much sense then. Yeah, I mean, like why you start with a portfolio before you even have one success, or you have a lot of cash, then you can do it.
All right, so. Lukasz, if I try to summarize, you know, you came from a simple business model to dominate a lot of business model. You're clearly a man of ambition that is not afraid of risk, and a man with a plan. Would you like to share with this audience as a last item your next big move?
So there is no next big move. The next big move is to continue what we already do in a bit more optimized and refined way. Yeah? So really you learn, and this is the exciting thing. I think also like for all of you who are either entrepreneurs yourself or within companies, I think the great thing is like that your learning curve is always steep. Yeah. So on the one hand, you look back like next year and you say like, oh my God, how stupid have I been? But on the other hand, you can incorporate this into what you do. So we will do what we did so far. We try to do better. Yeah. Obviously, we're all inspired by Delivery Hero. So there's a force saying, okay, let's focus even more. Last year, if you would have asked me the question, I would have answered like, okay, we want to expand our capacity Like instead of building 2 to 3 companies a year, 3 to 4, this year I would say like focus to do maybe 1 great company every 2 years that is really big, and on the other hand invest more in the remaining ones. Yeah? So be able to invest more. So the next move will be again about around capital.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you very much for being a formidable force in this town, and I hope you will surprise us with more. And I don't know what's the plan. I think we're through. So I guess we are good for barbecue.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.